And it's great to have Clinton Yates joining us right now. You can hear Clinton actually on KNBR 1050 from 7 to 9 in the morning. So I know I'm looking at John Curley. You want to escape that show, Murph and Marcus. Go and tune in to Clinton Yates. He joins us right here with a nice little U.S. Open representation. Yeah. What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. So I have a curveball I have to throw at you guys.
Yeah.
So my man Ben Smith, who does social for us, he's a baseball guy, played college baseball at Coastal. And he said he saw Oracle coming by when he was pulling in. And I asked him a question. I said, you ever been to that park? He said, no. I said, well, there's not that. But I said, I ask a lot of people if they've been to that park.
Have you been in the park?
I've been in the park. Hold on.
Okay.
And they always say, oh, yeah, what's your favorite part? And I say, I don't think you know what my favorite part is. And they say, what are you talking about? I say, you ever been to the Gotham Club? And half of them are like,
now we're talking.
What is that? And I have to explain to them what the Gotham Club is. And I've had the pleasure of going there, and I tell people that is the single coolest thing in any single ballpark in America, and you can't even see it. You know, people talk about the Cove, the Slide, the Coca-Cola, all that
crab
stuff,
sandwich,
all that stuff. But the Gotham Club is the single best idea and execution with the game room and all that. Done it all, Papa.
I know.
And I'm pretty excited.
I'm so impressed you brought up the Gotham Club.
I just wanted y'all to know that I'm not out here just running my mouth.
You got street cred in San Francisco.
Exactly.
Before they were the New York Giants, they were the New York Gothams.
Absolutely.
And that's where the Gotham Club comes, and that's where Uber was invented. Because when you go into this New York style of speakeasy, you're not driving out of there. You're going sideways.
Exactly.
You're going to wind up in the bay. Now, my question is, there's two different Gotham Clubs.
Yeah.
There's a one on the lower level, which you're speaking, which is, kind of like the old Knott Hill.
I've been to the
Club.
bowling alley.
Have you been to the bowling alley as well?
All right.
He's been.
I've been to the bowling alley. I've bowled in the bowling alley. I'm familiar with the
both
setup.
You are, brother.
Told you.
Welcome. Tell this guy. We'll bring you over there today.
I'm just saying, it's a kind of experience that, beyond just exclusivity, it's a really fascinating thing to look at, because with the club with so much history, I think people tend to forget how genuinely old a lot of baseball lore is. And to see these old black and white
Lefty O'Doul Bridge and Lefty O'Doul.
It's just like, wow, and I spent the whole time looking at the walls.
All right. Do you dislike the Dodgers as much as we do in the Bay Area? What are you feeling about the evilest of empires?
So I'm from D.C., but I live in L.A., so the natural inclination towards the Dodgers is just that they're the home team in the context of I live there now. I don't dislike the Dodgers, but I will say this. The issue with what the Dodgers do from a money standpoint, to me, is not in the ability to – and I'm not going to get into a full breakdown of, like, what payroll is versus what the actual output is. You're paying Shohei $100 million, you're paying him $100 million. It's not whether or not it's $100 on the payroll. It's not at the upper end of that. It's the idea that you can spend $40 million on Kyle Tucker, who, as far as I'm concerned, is not that good. If you can make that mistake – then that's the big difference between that team and all these other teams. It's not that they have the cash to output at the top rate. It's that you can take wild risks for crazy overpays. And I'm like, listen, with all due respect to Kyle Tucker, that dude's not worth $40 million a year.
I mean, if the Giants gave him that contract, we'd be sitting here like, what, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like,
why would you?
Player, but come on.
Why would you do that? And that's where the real disparity is. It's in the ability to make mistakes potentially that are wild. I mean, they paid Cole Hamels $1 million for one workout one time, and you're thinking to yourself, how does
the Giants are paying him how many million a year to pitch? The Giants are still paying Blake Snell to pitch for the Dodgers.
He's not even throwing because his arm's
throwing against us and win a World Series.
And it's like, if you can waste money on not bad, but options that other people can't even afford.
Stupid money.
That's where it feels like it's unfair. It's not in the idea of, you've got all the cash in the world. It's that you can be frivolous, and that's where I think baseball is harmed.
All right, so I got a question as far as the NFL goes,
Sure.
because you've talked openly about representation in sports media, and I mean, as far as the coaching cycle, this latest one in the NFL,
not great, Bob.
Not great. So, I guess your reaction to the coaching cycle, the lack of diversity, and also the comments made by Roger Goodell about having a lot of work to do.
Well, Goodell can't ever really be honest about any of this, but I think that, when you look at, quite frankly, nationally, what's going on with what we'll just say certain people who work in my hometown feel about these efforts, trying to roll them back, it kind of feels like football is going along in line with that. And the reason why it's problematic, and I want to explain this to the listeners, is not because of the way I feel as a black American or the way that any individual has necessarily been treated, which is important. But it's about the fact that, like, if you keep your coaching ranks to the same 5 to 10 generational families in operations, you're cheating the game because you don't know how you could expand what this game could be if you don't have talent pools of people that are willing to lead that are different than the others. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Total sense.
It's
Total
like,
sense.
what are we doing here? If this hasn't been working, there goes my man Woody Page. If this
Woody!
if
Love
this
Woody.
hasn't been, Woody's right there. Get Woody. Woody can't see.
Denver
you.
legend. You
Woody!
can't hear either, I think. Woody!
It's Clinton. Yeah.
We got Woody Page
Anyway,
here.
that's Woody's over there.
Yeah.
So I'll see him later. Sorry.
It's all
So
right.
my
It's
point
live
is-
radio on Radio Row.
Exactly.
People are
My
coming
point
by.
is that if the game starts to feel the same all the time with the same people, it's not just a matter of whether or not your team has success or not. It's just it feels like that's a lack of evolution that we really could be better for.
Without a doubt. It's
You
got
know?
to get better. You were talking about families and ownership and all that and how.
Yeah.
But I also think there are two families that are running this NFL right now. The McVay family,
Sure.
from John McVay, the legendary GM of
Right.
the Niners, to his grandson Sean McVay.
Who I
And
went
then-
to college with, by the way.
You do? Okay,
Yeah.
great guy. So, and then you got, Kyle Shanahan, obviously Mike's son. It all comes from Bill Walsh down.
Right.
And when you look at the two hires over the weekend, and we thought Raheem Morris may wind up with the Arizona job for whatever
Right.
reason, he didn't get it. And I know Mike LaFleur well. He's a great coach. He's a good person. He's directly tied to Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay.
Right.
And then, Clint Kubiak, who's going to coach in this game on Sunday, is going to be the Raiders head coach. So Clint was here in 2023 with Kyle.
Right.
So part of the problem is just how many offensive systems in the NFL right now are direct disciples of either Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, and it all comes down from the OG, the genius, Bill Walsh. I think that's the problem we have is owners can't look out. Boy, this guy was a quarterback coach for the Rams. Let's hire him as our head coach. Can he lead men, though?
I will say this. The reason why I don't have that much of an issue in that regard with the specificity of what you're talking about is because
It
I've
works.
said this before. Quarterback is the worst coach position in the league. Has been for a decade. And if you – and this is sort of where the variety thing comes in. It's like, look, if you've got somebody who can develop a quarterback, then you've got a chance to win. And I don't just mean pick a dude and make sure that he's got an offensive line. I mean find a talent, make sure that that person is capable of being in the NFL, and then maybe succeeding from there. And that's where a guy like a Sean McVay, I think, is a tremendous player because a tremendous player in the game in the context of, the coaching realm, is because he can do that. And I feel that if we're getting back to the diversity point, there's got to be somebody that's been better than half of these guys at developing quarterbacks in this league because too many dudes are washing out. And when you think about a guy like a Darnold, a guy who came through here, he was a number 3 pick. Look at who was in that draft. Lamar Jackson,
Went last.
Baker
In the first round.
Reagan Mayfield, Josh Allen. None of those guys have been in the Super Bowl. You know why? Because dudes don't know what they're doing when it comes to that position. And there's no way that many positions should exist in the NFL where you're thinking to yourself, oh, yeah, no, we just haven't found the right guy. We just haven't found the right guy. No. How about you just don't know what's going on, and you might want to open your, expand your talent pool of who you're bringing in.
All right, so which number 3 pick of the draft is going to be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy on Sunday?
I think it's going to be the Seahawks. I think they just have – I just think they're a better football team at this point. Their ability to get down the field, their ability to, mix things up offensively. If the Patriots are going to have a chance, Vrabel is going to have to mix it up in a way that they haven't shown on film yet all season. They're going to have to get something back to the ghosts that Darnold said he saw but doesn't see anymore because ultimately that offense is just too strong and too committed.
These are not Bill Belichick's and Tom Brady's Patriots.
No, they're much more fun than that.
So are we cool with it? Is America still just tired of New England playing in this game?
I don't think so. I think that, again, I'll tell you a quick story. So, I live in Los Angeles. Vrabel is a guy that a couple of years ago when the Super Bowl was there, he was getting awarded Coach of the Year. Place I hang out after the newsroom happy hour downtown, just sitting there having a beer with my buddies. We're just thinking, sitting around talking. Vrabel comes in with 3 of his boys, his coaches that he was going to have on stage. And They got after it a little bit, went down there, accepted the award. I said, I like that guy. I don't think I ever said that once about Belichick or Brady or any of that outfit. Vrabel is a likable character. Drake May is a nice kid. And that team now, as constructed, I think America can easily look at and say, you know what, don't mind them winning.
Clinton, we appreciate you coming by,
No
man.
doubt.
I know you got to be going places.
Yeah, we got a lot to
Let's
do.
go to the Gotham Club and get one.
Gonna say.
All right, boys.
Good seeing you, Clinton.
Clinton Yates, more coming up right here on The Sports Leader.
Live from Radio Row at Moscone Center, this is Papa in Silver, sponsored by Kalshi. Kalshi, train on anything, even the game.
Moscone Center here on this Wednesday at Media Row. Great to get the show and the chaos started. We had John Weeks, long snapper for the 49ers, to open things up. It was great to have Clinton Yates on moments ago. And we got some great guests coming up in the next segment. We're going to talk to Jim Gray and Brian Billick for the long one, but we also got to have a little bit of a breather here for a moment. And last night, man, that was eventful as far as coming to the table with talking points. So no Steph Curry, no Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors lose 113-94 against the Philadelphia 76ers. But it wasn't the on the court that we came to talk about, Pop. It was the press conference, specifically with the comments of one Draymond Green, which we're going to hear in moments.
Yeah, they didn't play well. We talked about Detroit just bullying them on Friday night and the 45 points in the opening quarter. And then, their big front line when they go with Stewart and Jalen Duren. It's like an NFL offensive line you're trying to deal with. Then you're dealing with last night, the original Piston, big body and Andre Drummond. And it was the offensive rebounding that Detroit had where they just housed the Warriors on the glass. There was the one offensive rebound where Guy Santos did not touch it when it was on the cylinder, and they had to go to replay, and the Warriors got that call back. But from that point forward, it just seemed like Philadelphia got every single missed shot. How do you get just pushed around so much, clearing offensive, defensive rebounds for yourself and offensive for the opponents? Defense starts with your shell and getting a missed shot, but if you don't clear the defensive rebound, their percentage that they're going to score in a putback, in the old days it used to be a putback to put it in the basket. Now they grab an offensive rebound, throw it back out for a three. And there's a real emphasis now in crashing and getting offensive boards. For a long time in the NBA, it was get back, get back, get back. We'll give up an offense. We're going to make sure we get back and clear that rebound. So from an offensive standpoint, we're not going to crash the offensive boards. That's all changed. Mike Brown did a dissertation with international basketball and everything he does on the importance of offensive rebounding. And guys will rotate back as they should, but if we got a chance to get an offensive rebound, get the offensive rebound. The percentage of scoring on the second shot is much higher than the first shot. And that's where the Warriors broke down. They could not clear the board. So, I mean, you didn't have Steph Curry last night, and I am worried about his knee. Obviously, the Jimmy situation, we knew that would be an issue. And then Jonathan Kuminga, when he was back, was clearing defensive rebounds better. What's wrong with him? That knee has just been out there for a while. So when you don't have...
started with the bilateral patellar tendonitis, then the bone bruise. I mean, you do have to wonder how long these things are going to keep him out, because at a point I'm thinking, hey, maybe this has to do with the fact that he thinks he's going to get traded. He wants to be traded. He wants out.
No,
but
I hope it's not
Then
that.
He came back, and then he, played pretty well when the team was getting worked. Nice comeback, and then he has a great stretch there in the Dallas game, but we haven't seen him since that point.
Yeah, I would hope he would not do that. And his agent, although there have been a lot of curious comments from him, Aaron Turner, he would not withhold services for whatever reason. But you are close to a trading deadline, obviously, coming up in, about 25 and a half hours? It'll be tomorrow at noon our time. So, and then there's a report today that the Lakers want Jonathan Kuminga. I don't think the Warriors do anything unless this Giannis thing is settled, which leads to, what exactly is going on. James Harden got traded last night for Winston Garland's son, which I think is interesting because Donovan Mitchell is a ball-dominant player, and so is James Harden. Darius Garland is more of a traditional point guard. He can get his. I don't know how they're going to share that ball. We've thought that with Harden and many of his teammates over the years, even Chris Paul. How do you get to share the ball? Because Harden needs the ball. So does Donovan Mitchell. I think Mitchell will probably move off to two-guard more. But anyway, that trade went down last night. We're always wondering yesterday during the show, what is Minnesota exactly up to? Moving Mike Conley and that money. They're aligned. Miami, obviously, is aligned to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then, the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. I think the Warriors would have been in on that had Giannis not been on the block. But you've got to move on. So as far as trading Kuminga, I think they'll wait and see. If Giannis gets traded tomorrow at any point before the deadline where you have time to execute a trade, then you could make a trade. But as long as Giannis is still available to you next summer, I can't see the Warriors giving up any players or assets that they could use to get him. Now, as far as what Draymond said, and a little bit of this after the Detroit loss on Friday, but last night, and we'll talk to it more. We're at the Super Bowl. We got a lot of guests coming up. My friend Jim Gray is going to come up in a little bit of time, and we got a string of them with John Riggins coming up in the 12 o'clock
That's
hour.
right,
But
Super Bowl MVP.
The last half of the show, maybe we do a poll about which one. I would prefer to trade Jimmy Butler than Draymond Green, and we'll give the reasons for that. I've already done that before. I think there's Milwaukee, as far as I was told, they didn't have any offers at all as of yesterday. But now offers are coming in. I don't know if they're countering the offers. Right now they are in the fact-finding mission. They want to know, bring me your best offer, Pat Riley, Tim Connolly in Minnesota. When you're dealing with people like them, those two guys scare me. Because Minnesota Conley, running Denver, that guy, he knows what he's doing. And Riley's been star chasing for a while. I think was Jimmy really a big star there? He's been star chasing for a long time. Since probably LeBron walked out that door. So Giannis would be the guy. And we'll see where ultimately, he winds up there's some other teams involved. But, what does Milwaukee actually do? But what Draymond Green said last night was just classic Draymond. He just opens up his heart and soul and F-bombs, and he just lets it out. You would think he was traded last night, and that was his goodbye press conference to the bench. That's not what it was. It was a conversation he had with Steve Kerr where Steve, turned to him and said, how are you handling the rumors? How's your wife handling it? His son was there at the game last night, drove home with him. Why would they trade you, Daddy? He is just so honest. It's incredible, but it's not anything more than a trade conversation, which happens all the time in professional sports. And I'm sure a few earlier times in his career, they had conversations about at least trading Draymond Green or not re-signing Draymond Green. But maybe it was just never taken to him at that point. You would think there was that one off season where they were actually playing golf, Steph and Clay against Mahomes and Kelsey in Vegas, and Draymond showed up, and we heard Sacramento was all in on him there. Was there any moment where Draymond thought, I could be moving on here? Maybe, but he didn't do a podcast that day, and he wasn't asked by Tim Kawakami after a game at a podium about how he just emoted last night because Steve Kerr, sought him out and said, how are you handling this? So now he's thinking, why is he asking me that? So that's preparing you and your family that we don't know. Jimmy could be the headliner in the package, what I would far prefer. No idea what Milwaukee wants to do.
Well, Sam Amick put out there yesterday, and JD and I got into this a little bit, that we were originally speculating Milwaukee would want Jimmy Butler and a bunch of picks to tank. Then Sam Amick saying they would want Draymond Green and they would rather have a healthy player.
I hear they're going to cut Draymond Green, that they're not even going to take him on the roster. They don't want him. And we'll see where it all goes, but that's what Windhorst was saying, that Draymond could wind up getting cut by Milwaukee and then in the buyout market going to the Los Angeles Lakers and playing against the Warriors on Saturday night. I mean, that's the world we live in. Would it happen that fast? I don't know. But in any event, as it relates to Draymond, wow, he laid it out. And he could say, I'm not losing sleep, but it's bothering him. He's been here 13 and a half years. The Warriors win no championships without him. They don't go to finals without him. They lost one because of a bad interpretation of what he did in Cleveland. There's been a up and down roller coaster ride with him. There have been times where I strongly advocated to trade him. I didn't think he was as effective of a player. His drinking was a bit of an issue. But that's when Steph was out, and it was a hard year, that pandemic year. But right now, I think you need his ability to specifically guard the bigs in this conference that are in your way. And Oklahoma City's got a couple of them. He guards Holmgren well. Hartenstein's a little more of a problem. He guards the Joker as well as you can. And then mainly Wembanyama. He bothers Wembanyama with his arm bar the way he guarded LaMarcus Aldridge when he was Pop's, 5-down guy. So in any event, we'll get into it, maybe even open up a poll later on. If the Warriors do have a choice here, and I think what's been presented to them, as far as I know, both offers have been presented. A package of all the draft picks and a Jimmy headlining package and a Draymond headlining package, and then it's up to Milwaukee to pick A or B or neither. Some other team, what Riles is doing, what Conley's doing, or not trade him at all, and then revisit all this in the summer. But it's just Draymond Green and what he said and who he is, what he has meant to this community and this basketball team and his relationship with Steve and with Steph and with Bob and with Joe and with us. When I was diagnosed right away, Draymond Green reached out to me immediately and was praying for me. And I've said things good and bad about it. I appreciate Draymond's brilliance as a player, his acumen, innate ability to see plays, not just on the defensive end where it's obvious, but offensively, that high drag with Steph. And he has been such a great player for this franchise. But to hear him talk on just I can't even say it's a hypothetical. I mean, we're going to find out in 24 hours if he's gone. And that's a hard reality, but just it all means so much to him as a player. That's why he's so white hot when he gets out there, because that's just the way he is. And as a person, he's so emotional. But the way he spoke last night was almost a goodbye to the Bay. Draymond, you've not been traded yet. Quite likely you won't be in the package. Maybe they pick Butler. Equally likely Milwaukee won't trade right now. Now, you may get traded in the summer, and you have to go through this all over again. He knows he's not going to play forever basketball, but I really believe, Greg, he wanted to be one of the select few. He wanted to be like Kobe or Tim Duncan or John Stockton. Guys to play for one franchise their whole career, the way Steph has got it. We don't know where Steph's going to go down the line, but it's just the way he spoke last night. You would think he was traded, and he was saying goodbye. All that was brought up was the concept of being traded.
Well, let's hear that audio real quick, and then we'll get over to Jim Gray, who's going to be joining us coming up in a bit. We got Kyle Harr back in the studio, who was there for Dubs OT last night. So here's Draymond Green at the podium, being, as always, one of a kind, honest.
If you would have told me 13 and a half years ago, like, yo, I'm going to hand you this sheet of paper and you can sign it to be in a place for 13 and a half years, would you sign it? And I would have signed it faster than you can blink. So what do I have to sit and worry about? What do I have to, like, be upset about? Like, I've been here for 13 and a half years. That's longer than probably 98% of NBA players have been in one place. And this guy from Saginaw has been in a place for 13 and a half years. I don't know that it ends at 13 and a half, but if it does, what a f***ing run it's been. I'll take the fine for it. What a f***ing run it's been.
Damn, Draymond. All right, so we got a lot to react to with that clip here in the second half of the show. But coming up, let's talk to Jim Gray.
The great Jim Gray is here.
It is Papa and Silver on the Sports Leader.
Time for your Bay Area Chevy dealers traffic update.
Hey, it's Greg Papa here from Super Bowl LX. How do you miss those huge Roman numerals? If you hassle with glasses and contacts, you may have considered modern vision correction procedures such as LASIK or EVO ICL to see clearly again. But if you need readers or bifocals, Laser Eye Center of Silicon Valley has a permanent solution to ditch them all. It is called CLR, Custom Lens Replacement. Greg Papa here, and I had CLR from Laser Eye Center a couple of summers ago, and I see perfectly without any kinds of glasses, including those annoying readers, and now I'll never get a cataract. Didn't know that. Find out about how CLR or any of the incredible procedures from Laser Eye Center by watching their new series. Much better than Rise of the 49ers, by the way. Modern Vision Correction videos. That's at lasereyeclr.com. You'll hear directly from the surgeons as they answer your questions about these life-changing procedures. See the new Modern Vision Correction procedures and schedule your free consultation at lasereyeclr.com. Laser Eye Center in Pleasanton and San Jose. You can also call 877-GET-2020 or hit lasereyeclr.com.
Our coverage from Super Bowl Radio Row at Moscone Center is sponsored by Kalshi. Kalshi, trade on anything, even the game. Here are Papa and Silver on the Sports Leader.
Day 3 here at Media Row continues live at the Moscone Center. Greg Silver, Greg Papa, and the great Jim Gray joining us right now. We got Jim Gray.
The Hall of Excellence is here.
In the same segment.
I'm so happy to see Greg Papa.
Oh, man, we go back.
Oh, what the heck, man?
No, he's happy to
I'm
see Greg.
I'm kidding.
He and I have known each other.
Greg's brother, Gary, was my best friend in Philadelphia.
Oh, man.
And we miss Gary. We think about him all the time. We love Kathy, his wife. But when I see Greg, I see Gary. And I'm so thankful and grateful that Greg's doing good because he's my conduit to my buddy.
Without a doubt. Love you, brother.
Love you
Great
too.
to see you. So we teased it a little bit. You are excellent in all you do, and I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you're
sir.
in many halls. But tell me what you're doing with the Hall of Excellence, Jimmy.
The Hall of Excellence is a museum that Tom and Brady and I have worked on for almost a decade. It opened in the Fontainebleau Hotel in Las Vegas on the second floor. We've had a great partner in Jeffrey Sofer over at the hotel. We have 325 of the greatest sports artifacts in the country's history, in the world's history. Everything from Jackie Robinson's bat that broke the color barrier, the first bat that he used, to Babe Ruth's bat when he called his shot, to Muhammad Ali's final robe and his gloves against George Chevalier, Tom Brady's 7 rings, his 7
All
Super Bowl
7 rings are there?
Are there in perpetuity on permanent display, and when we have a trophy room for everything. You name a trophy other than the Stanley Cup, we got it. We got Oprah Winfrey's Medal of Freedom, her first Tony, her first Emmy. Clint Eastwood's first Academy Award for Unforgiven, Charles Woodson's Heisman Trophy, Billie Jean King's first Wimbledon dish, Pete Sampras's U.S. Open trophy, the Claret Jug from Tom Weiskopf, the Dream Team gold medals from Jason Kidd. You name it, I can keep going on and on. We have all of these great artifacts. Simone Biles' leotard when she won her first gold medal in Rio, Brady's shoes from the 28-3 comeback, Michael Phelps when he was on the podium to win 8 gold medals in Beijing. We have all these great sports memorabilia from the 100-point game, the only living artifact known, the scorebook from Wilt Chamberlain.
Wow.
Donated to us for display by David Kohler from the Lakers Shrine. They ran out of room, the pencil area. Kobe's net from the 81-point game that just had its 20th anniversary. Greg, you name it, there is something for everybody in here. LeBron James' first jersey from that night in Sacramento for the Cavs. All the way up to the hoop when he broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record a couple of years ago. So we have all of this great memorabilia. It's all assembled, and you can come into the Fontainebleau, and you can see it all there in the Hall of Excellence. And we celebrate Bill Belichick in the Hall of Excellence. We have his most worn hoodie and his Lombardi trophy.
Which one?
From the last one with Tom,
From the number
13-3 against the Rams.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
So we got all this stuff. So we'd love for you to come by. Shohei Ohtani, he's been great. He's loaned us a bunch of his great
we
MVP
can't talk about the
items.
Dodgers here. You see this?
Oh,
No.
we can
And it
talk
only
about
costs
the Dodgers.
$35 for adults to get in there?
Correct. And
Wow.
if you're a senior citizen, or you're
I'm
with the
close.
military, or you're a Nevada resident, there's discounts.
That's
and
incredible.
we let all
And
the
I know
youth-
Jim
all the
Gray.
youth- all the
And I know
youth
Jim
groups, any youth group that comes from anywhere in the country,
Yeah.
who's in a sports youth group, is free.
So we're talking about this Lombardi Trophy coming up. What'd you make of this NFL season with not really feeling like – I felt like the Super Bowl bubble was as big as I can remember in terms of teams I could realistically say could get to this point. And, yeah, it ended up being a 1 seed and a 2 seed from each conference. But the amount of youth in this game makes this unbelievable to watch. And I don't know if we're going to get a game that maybe it takes a little bit longer to the two teams feel each other out, maybe some jitters from the quarterbacks, or maybe we get something that has delivered like the entire of this NFL season.
You never know what's going to happen in these games. Did anybody think when the Patriots came here all those years ago that they were going to beat the greatest show on turf? Were they going to beat the Rams? Of course not. Was there any way that the Giants were going to beat the undefeated Patriots? Of course not. So you can look, the landscape is littered with every time we thought we knew, Greg, and we don't know. We just don't know. That's why they're going to play, you know. And it looks on paper like Seattle's better. I mean, Seattle played. Think about this for a second. Seattle played the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers 6 times this year. 6 times.
3 each. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and the Rams were considered the best team, so they're ready. And then you look at the Patriots schedule and you wonder how the heck did this happen? You know, look at who they played. Now, you can't hold that against them. They played who's in front of them. You can't be mad at Larry Holmes because he didn't fight the people that Muhammad Ali fought. It wasn't his fault. He fought the people in front of him. Great champion. So you can't discount the fact that on any Sunday, we don't know what his shoulder's like. There's all these questions.
Right.
And by the way, Ali told me this when I was a very young broadcaster. You stick around something long enough, and you're damn sure going to believe that Chuck Wepner's going to beat me. And there's no effing way Chuck Wepner even belongs in the same ring. Okay, so we can sit here and talk all we want. The likelihood of a major underdog pulling this off happens. That's why Villanova played.
Right.
But it doesn't happen often.
That's sports, and that's why
Right.
we love it. We never know how it's
That's why
going to
we
turn
love
out.
Greg Pop.
So
I sound like Bill Walton.
I'm going
I
to come
love
over there
Greg
and
Pop,
kiss
but
Jim Gray. We go back.
he's
So,
he's
and Monday night, and you'll be on Westwood One for the game. And
No,
you know,
sir. No, sir. We're on Sirius XM.
Sirius
Tom
XM,
and I,
right.
we left
right.
Westwood One a few
right.
years ago. We wish them
Well,
well.
I saw
we
Howie
wish
here,
the
yeah.
great Kevin Harlan.
Yeah,
Howie's
Kurt Warner.
Howie's
I know,
the
he's no
director
longer
at the
there,
Hall
I
of
know.
Excellence.
Old habits die
He's
hard.
our museum
I
director
know,
for the Hall of
I know.
Excellence.
So anyway, this month, you had Tom on for years.
Yep.
And I love. We'll get into Stafford and Crosby because I thought they were just so honest, and you brought it out of them. You've had great years every year, but I loved it this
Thank
year.
you.
But having Tom on recently, and the line that he had about not having a dog in the fight, referring to the Super Bowl. I mean, his New England Patriots are in this game. He won 6 of his Super Bowl championships, obviously, with the owner. So, I mean, what does he mean by that? What's his relationship now? I know he's a Raider, and he works for Fox, and he has all these different assignments. What's his relationship right now with the New England Patriots?
Well, I think he explained it well. That was a portion of his life, and it was a great chapter in his life, and it was a 20-plus year chapter of his life. And what he did there, he came in there as nobody, and he left as the most revered man in the history of pro football. So I believe he's always going to have tremendous gratitude for that organization and for Robert Kraft and the Kraft family and for Bill Belichick. He said Bill Belichick's the greatest coach ever and the greatest coach and only coach he ever wanted to play for. So I think there's always going to be a love for that organization. But his life has moved on, just like everybody else's. I worked for NBC for years. I love NBC. I worked for ESPN. I was the first reporter ESPN had, the only reporter ESPN had. I love ESPN, but I don't work for them anymore. I work for Fox. So that's who I'm loyal to, and that's what I think about, and that's who's sending me my paycheck, and that's where my future
Love the
is.
one you're with, right?
No, but it doesn't diminish that I don't like the time I spent at ESPN.
Of course.
And it doesn't, so I'm not trying to compare. I'm just
with
saying
you.
we all in our lives, and so that's what he was trying to say. And, if reports are to be believed that the Raiders' next head coach will be Clint Kubiak, you hardly want the owner in there sitting up there saying, you know what, I'm cheering for the team that you're playing against. We'd like for you to come here as a loser.
Right.
No, so, anybody who can think this through can understand exactly what Tom was saying, and if they can't think it through, then okay,
No, I understand.
move on.
And Clint's a good guy. We had him with the Niners in 23. We've been talking a lot about Max Crosby. Is now the time, do you feel, to trade one of the greatest defensive players in Raider history? What's your thoughts on that? You know Max well. Does he want to leave the Raiders, and is now the time to make that trade?
I think Max is going to have to answer those questions, Greg. I love Max. Max is a great player. Max is a great Raider. Max is an all-time Raider. Max loves Las Vegas, and I love Max. He's on the show with us. But I have no idea what he wants, and I have no idea what the organization is thinking. I would just say this. Max Crosby is a great, great Raider and has represented the Raiders in a spectacular fashion. And, as a fan, who wouldn't want to have Max Crosby? So, yes, as a fan of the Raiders, and I'm a fan of that organization, yeah, I love Max Crosby. So he just won the Excellence Award. The Commitment to Excellence Award.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's excellent, and he's great, and he's going to be fine after his surgery, but I'm not involved. I have no idea what the plans are for him, and I don't ask because I don't, they'll handle all that.
All right, well, I'll leave you with this. What was the best Ali quote that he ever shared with you, aside from the one you already gave us?
Oh, the best Ali quote that he ever shared with me was, he would love to do magic. Ali used to love magic, and he would carry around a fake thumb, and he would stuff a thing in a hanky in there. And he said, here's the only difference. When I put on those gloves, they think the result is magic. But it's not. I'm the greatest.
Without
And
a
he
doubt.
was. And he
Without
was.
a doubt.
So he said just so many things. He was just such a great man because he had time for everybody. He treated the janitor and the chairman of the board with the same dignity, respect, courtesy, and time. And when you would travel with him, he never blew off anybody. He was just wonderful, and it didn't matter your walk of life. And he loved young people. He gave me my opportunity. That's the first interview I ever did.
How old were you?
17.
Whoa!
17. And I was a videotape editor. And I was in the ABC station in Denver editing the early morning videotape, and they were converting from film to videotape, so all the film guys took the buyout because they didn't want to learn a new craft. Well, I was the only one in the bureau, in the station at that hour, 7 a.m., editing the Broncos with Red Miller, getting ready for
The Orange Crush.
getting ready for the draft, and he was getting ready to fight Leon Spinks, and then after that he was going to fight Lyle Alzado in an exhibition at Mile High Stadium. So
remember
he
that.
came to town. He was 2.5 hours early. They couldn't find anybody, so they sent me out to do the interview. I was dressed like this. Never done an interview before. First question I asked him, he said, "You know what? You don't even shave. You're doing this interview?" And I said, "Yeah," and everybody laughed. The whole entourage laughed. And then the fourth or fifth question, he said, "You sound like the local Howard Cosell." It's the nicest compliment I'd ever had in my life. Took the interview
Mighty
back.
truculent you are being.
Took the interview back.